Welcome back to Guess Who with Bert, my friendly assistant. Celebrating the wonderful Annabel Crabb and Leigh Sales, I would like to take a moment to just again pay tribute to our incredible Play-Doh artist, Emma Clossy. Would you look at what she's managed to create here? The background, the cake, the microphone, the fairy wren, the wonderful glasses, and of course, these two incredible humans. Now, you know how it works with Guess Who? I tell their story, or I attempt to tell some of their story, and then you guys guess their character strengths from the balloon, which I know my face is currently blocking, but I will change that at the end. And remember, some of the character strengths that you might think of may not be in the balloon, and that is completely and utterly okay. So, putting on my serious hat, because I'm going to be using some bigger words today, and I want to make sure that you guys understand what I'm talking about before we go forth. So I'm going to do a little glossary for you. So we've got a Walkley Award. That means that someone has been recognised for excellence in journalism. Order of Australia. This is a visible honour awarded by a king, queen or sovereign state in recognition of Australian citizens and other persons for achievement or merit. That often comes with a medal or a badge. Journalist, a person who writes for newspapers, magazines or news websites or prepares news to be broadcast. And a political journalist covers all aspects of politics and informs voters with information to have their own opinion. Got it? Now, something a little more lighthearted. Now, Annabel Crabb and Leigh Sales have a few things in common. Highly intelligent. Highly intelligent. They also have a love for a musical called Hamilton. And in Hamilton, there is a scene with a rather pompous king who sings a tune. And I thought, given Leigh Sales' love for musicals, despite my lack of skill or talent, I would have a go at a takeoff on this song to sort of warm you up for Leigh Sales and Annabel Crabb. I hope you're prepared to put your judgmental eyes to the side while I have a crack at this. Okay. So imagine, I'm going to put on my proper voice now. I've got my words off to the right. You say gender inequality isn't a price that you're willing to pay. You laugh at misogynists as you start to do your craft. You're both so great. Remember, you inspire women around the world to change their fate. Remember to never stop talking about books and cake. I admire you, don't you see? And your fight for inequality. Crab and Sales, time will tell if mushrooms serve every dish so well. Oceans rise, leaders fall. You have both reported on it all. And when push comes to shove, I have created a video lesson just to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. We aren't stalkers, please don't get us wrong. Your love of Ottolenghi must go on. And no, don't change the subject, because you're our favorite subject. Highly intelligent subject. Fiercely loyal subject. Everybody. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I had to gate crash this one, didn't I? You did. We do love these women very much, but I'm not going to interrupt this very important lesson. I have grilled enough politicians, so I'm going to go off and bake a cake. Actually, I probably grilled a poor tech guy, but that's another story. Have fun with this lesson. All right, so let's get busy. Now, remember, I'm going to be pointing out some of their incredible skills, but you guys aren't looking for their skills as evidence of character strengths. Character strengths are different, okay? Character strengths are what we all have within each and every one of us, okay? It's not to do with our talents as opposed to what we actually contribute to society as a human being. Okay, now they both share a love of cake. This is true, as you heard in those highly intelligent lyrics. But they diverge in certain things too. So this is where I'm going to tell you the story of Annabel Crabb, a bit of her story and her successes. I'll start with the successes to start. Here she is, pictured on TV, because she is also a TV host. She has won a Walkley Award, which you'll remember is for excellence in journalism, and that was for one of her quarterly essays called Stop at Nothing. She is an author, she's a political journalist, she's a commentator, and she's ABC's chief online political writer. But so far, everything that I've told you about wouldn't give you evidence for any of her character strengths yet. She grew up with a love of reading books, an insatiable appetite to devour books, and a real love for learning and knowledge. And obviously this has led to her becoming an incredibly inspiring author. This is one of her books here, The Wife Drought. Now, I'm highlighting this book because from a very personal point of view, it had a huge impact on me as a mother. So here's one of the quotes from the book that I really love. It says, "The obligation for working mothers is a very precise one, the feeling that one ought to work as if one did not have children, while raising one's children as if one did not have a job." So essentially, the book is about looking at the huge change that takes place when you have a baby and the fact that you're kind of just meant to keep going with everything. And I love it as well because there's a big focus on men's role and men's role at work as well. So Annabel Crabb has really spent the vast majority of her career fighting for gender equality in a beautiful way, in a friendly way. She exudes optimism and positivity wherever she goes. This is another one of her brilliant quarterly essays called Men at Work. So I'm really trying to spotlight her work for gender inequality and particularly gender disparity when it comes to women and men at home sharing household jobs. And what I love about this quarterly essay is the focus is not so strongly on just women's role at work and at home, but also on allowing more flexibility for men to be working from home at the workplace and being able to be around and be a father. So I really loved this quarterly essay. It also had a big impact on me and on other women as well to look at the way you do things in your home and look at the way that we question the norms around us. She recently wrote a fantastic article about the impacts of COVID-19 with a particular focus on women. And it was quite alarming because it showed that they managed to do a pre-questionnaire before COVID hit and a questionnaire during COVID, which is obviously still happening now too. And the findings of that basically showed that women on average had much higher anxiety than men during COVID, and as opposed to the levels before, and that they also felt less hopeful. So that's we've heard me talk about hope in many of these lessons. Hope is the perfect antidote to fear, and it also allows us to be creative and to be problem solvers as well. So it was quite alarming. What it also showed was women picking up much more of the household chores and men's hours not really changing. So she's really trying to highlight these disparities between men and women without shaming anyone. She does it in this very highly intelligent, highly articulate, charming way. She really is just utterly gorgeous and friendly and warm as well. Now, my love affair with Annabel Crabb began many years ago when I saw this article, and if you look at the title, Why You Shouldn't Clean Your House. What a great title. And there's two quotes in here that I wanted to spotlight. It says, "And if it comes down to a choice between tidying the living room and making gingerbread with the children, then in my view, there is no contest. Consequently, my house is what it is." Boom. And this one I love too. "You can whine and moan about men doing more, or you can take the radical option and just do less yourself. Love it. Now, she's also got a huge heart. So this is Annabel Crabb here wearing an item of clothing that had been made by refugee women or newly arrived immigrant women. It's all from recycled fabric, and she had the challenge to wear it for a week. And it was part of this incredible initiative called Wear the Change, and it's really a brilliant thing. So she did that for a week, and she posted photos of herself and raised money for those women and for sustainable fashion too. I love it as well. We all wash our clothes too much. Anyway, a fantastic cause that she did, which I was full of admiration for. A lovely thing about Annabel Crabb, and potentially this is why a lot of people adore her, she's got a huge amount of followers on all her social media platforms. And she has this incredible eye and appreciation for beauty around her. And I think this probably fills in with a very thankful nature towards the world and the planet and to the people around her. She actually made a cookbook called Special Delivery, and the whole premise of this cookbook is making food for others, which I love. So, putting together a beautiful basket of freshly baked goods and delivering it to someone as a present. It's just a beautiful book around kindness and generosity, and she did it with a school friend. And again, it's that real love of food and appreciation for the lovely things around you too. And often she'll be taking photos of gorgeous things, trying to spotlight the beautiful things in life in amongst all the other things going on as well. And she loves dogs. So, how could we not spotlight her on Guess Who? So that was the individual segment of Annabel Crabb. I'm going to do them both together in a moment too. This is Leigh Sales. So again, I'll go through all her talents. 2019 Walkley Book Award for Any Ordinary Day. 2019 Member of the Order of Australia for service to the broadcast media. She also got another Walkley Award for broadcasting and online interviewing. She got the George Munster Award for independent journalism. And another Walkley Award for the best radio current affairs reporting on Guantanamo Bay. Not bad. She also grew up with an insatiable appetite for books, loved reading, loved learning, and incredible military-style organisation in everything that she does and the way that she approaches life. She is now the host of the ABC's News and Current Affairs program, 7:30. It's a pretty tough gig. It's on every night. Oh no, it's on 5 nights or 6 nights a week. And she interviews people around the world, and she has to ask incredibly tough questions at times. And often there's a lot of on-the-spot debate that occurs. And she's interviewed some incredibly fascinating and inspiring people. We've got the Dalai Lama here. We have Hillary Clinton over here. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who, that was, that song that I did before, that is from his musical Hamilton. And she just comes across always as a human that is full of curiosity and highly intelligent. Now, this is not to say that she hasn't faced her challenges and continues to face her challenges. As it happens, Leigh Sales has interviewed many prime ministers. So we've got here Scott Morrison, Malcolm Turnbull, and Tony Abbott. And in a very shocking way, always after she interviews a male prime minister, she receives all sorts of horrendous abuse via social media outlets about her gender and about the fact that she's a woman, and it is very cruel and very vulgar. Does this stop her from asking the tough questions to the next prime minister? Never. She keeps going, and she's incredibly brave because she spotlights it, and she does it in a really clever way where she doesn't want to give these people oxygen, these trolls oxygen about what they're doing, but she also wants to say this is not okay, and it's definitely sexualized abuse towards her, and the fact that she is a woman interviewing men and asking the tough questions as well. So I'm full of admiration for the fact that she just keeps going and is so passionate and committed to her job. Now, Leigh herself says that she had a really charmed life until her 40s, and then huge things happened for her. And she writes about it in a beautiful book, which I've got with me here, which I'll spotlight in a moment as well. Well, that's the uncorrected advance proof. This is clearly the perks of being the daughter of a mother who works in a bookshop. So when she was pregnant with her second child, She actually very nearly died. She had this horrendous thing that happened to her and resulted in her being in hospital for a very long time, and it meant that she couldn't even hold her baby for a while, and it was a really traumatic event. Now, this event and how random it was and out of nowhere led her to want to understand more about things that go horribly wrong and to understand the resilience of people behind them that continue to be a benefit and continue to flourish despite horrendous things that have happened. So here is the book. It's called Any Ordinary Day, and it is full of all the treasures of living a life full of love and joy despite horrendous things happening. She's got a couple of quotes in there that I want to share with you guys. One is, I've come to believe that amongst all the good human qualities, there is none greater than kindness. I also wanted to read from my very special uncorrected proof at the very end. So she interviews people like Stuart Diver, who survived a horrendous landslide in Thredbo, but his wife was killed, and other people that went through huge tragedies. There was a wonderful surfer and many other people. And it's an incredible book, and the research in it is really quite incredible. So she says here, all I can tell you is that life is richer, kinder, and safer than the news would have you believe. People are more decent. The things you think you wouldn't be able to survive, you probably can. You will be okay. There's really only one lesson to take from all of this, and that is to be grateful for the ordinary days and to savor every last moment of them. They're not so ordinary, really. Hindsight makes them quite magical. I love that, guys. If you take a snippet of that throughout your life, you will be okay. The ordinary days. I love it. Now, that's the two of them. So just be starting to think, I wonder what their character strengths are. I wonder what they could be. Here they are. So they've got very serious jobs. But here they are on Play School. Look at them. I love them. And they started a podcast called Chat 10 Looks 3, which is the most successful podcast in Australia. I'm going to go with that. I'm actually not sure if that's a fact. Look it up. That's a little challenge for you. And I love it. Annabel Crabb wrote a description of the podcast on the homepage. And it says, a podcast in which Leigh Sales and Annabel Crabb discuss what they're reading, watching, cooking, listening to, or irrationally exhilarated by. One of them likes show tunes and is a monster who chucks books once she's read them. The other one wrote this. I love it. And she really does love show tunes. She actually Leigh Sales used to be a singer for weddings. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Now, they have a few things in common, a love for reading and books, and they discuss these books on the podcast, a love for cooking and the fine things in life. They differ on the fairy wren front. Annabel Crabb loves fairy wrens and birds in general. And Leigh Sales adores to sing and adores musicals and will often break into song in the Chat 10 Looks 3 podcast. Now, I think what is so glorious about this podcast is it's showing also the fact that they're real humans, these incredible women who have these massively high-pressure jobs are also humans. And if that is not a recipe for creating more kindness and connection in the world, I don't know what is. And they say their secret ingredient to having such a successful podcast is their friendship. They really have a laugh together and they really build each other up hugely. They're proud of each other, and the banter between them is utterly inspiring. And they have huge hearts. So every time they do a live show, they make sure that donations go towards a specific charity within that area. So it will change depending on where they are. Teens and I were actually lucky enough to see them in Newcastle, and they had supported women that were fleeing from domestic violence. And here's a little bit from a Hobart show they did. They raised money from that show for the Hobart Women's Shelter, which provides safe emergency accommodation and support to women who are affected by family violence and those who are homeless. Pretty cool. So I'm going to get rid of my big head and I'm going to go and check on how Tina's going baking this extraordinary cake in such a short amount of time. So this is the pausing moment, guys, and you get to pick a strength. Now remember, there are strengths that I've actually given evidence for a few things, and the strengths aren't in there. So you might even have to go and do a little Google search for different character strengths, or just have a look and have a crack. This is the pausing moment, where you pause. So, I'm interested. What character strengths did you come up with? I'm very interested. Teens, what character strengths would you give Annabelle Crabb and Leigh Sales, just to put you right on the spot?
Right on the spot, hey? Well, you have talked about kindness. So that's a pretty obvious one. I would also possibly say appreciation for beauty.
Yes.
They do have a deep appreciation for they create beautiful cakes. This could be a good little segue.
Look what you've just whipped up.
Look what I've just whipped up.
It might have been
a little.
Just a simple.
It's a chocolate mud cake.
Any mushrooms in there?
There's no mushrooms, actually. I haven't worked out how to perfect that recipe yet. And there's no beetroot in this one. I usually do a beetroot cake, but this chocolate fudge cake didn't have beetroot in the recipe, unfortunately.
Okay, so you've got an appreciation for beauty, kindness, and what's your third?
Oh, okay. God, there's so many. It's really tricky, isn't it? I'm going to have to say generosity.
Generosity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your three. I'm going to purposely say three different ones, even though I agree with all three of yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go with humour, and I don't feel like I gave enough evidence for that, other than they've inspired us to sing a song.
To break into song?
Yeah. Humour, 100%. I'm going to go with gratitude. I feel like they both embody this essence of we get one life, and life is pretty fantastic when you look around and count your blessings. And I'm going to go with love of learning, because I feel like they both have just this wonderfully inspiring take on knowledge and books and podcasts and movies, and
sharing that as well,
and sharing it with the world,
inspiring people to want to learn.
So that's us. Da, 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 da,
and thank you to Yivu.
Yes, social venture. All right, guys, go forth and be kind, generous, get a bit of love and learning, be grateful. See you later.
Bye.